Welcome back, Stasa23 here, back again with some knife therapy. And today, before I get started, if you like this video, please give it a big thumbs up. If not, hey, thumbs down works as well. And if you like knife content and you're not already, hit that subscribe button so you don't miss my 7K giveaway. All right, today I have for you the Sandrin knives Torino. This knife comes in at $200. You can pick it up at some of your local retailers, but Sandrin Knives is a company out of Italy who specializes in edged tools that are made of carbide. You don't see that often because carbide's expensive to work with. It kills a lot of the tooling. It wears them out much quicker than, say, regular steel. But Sandrin decided they were going to start making some knives out of it. They make fixed blades that are super high end. I mean, like in the thousands of dollars. And before the Torino, they made slip joints that were decently attractive, and they had some better qualities than this knife, and this knife has some better qualities than those. Now, I decided the only reason I decided to pick this knife up is because I wanted a good cutting tool that would last for a long time as far as the edge goes. The tungsten carbide blade is able to reach 71 on the Recoil scale, which is super high. And usually whenever you have something high like that, it's hard to get a nice edge on it, and it usually gets pretty brittle. But I will say that I've used this thing like crazy, and let me feel, hold on. All I've done is dropped it up a few times, and it's still nice and sharp. Yeah, I got a little small chip. Well, maybe not. Let's see. Yeah, I got a little bitty small chip right there, and that's it. And I might have hit a staple or something, so I'm not too sure. It's not going to be a showpiece. I mean, it's fugly. Let's just be real. That finish is ugly, but I didn't buy it for the looks, and that's something you need to think about. Are you wanting something in tungsten? What's so good about tungsten? Like I said, it gets to 71 Recoil, and that's going to allow it to cut and cut and cut before it gets dull, because when tungsten breaks down, it's more like as it's breaking down, it's got these jagged teeth in it, and that allows it to stay sharp. Even though it's not like phone book paper sharp all the time, it keeps that that working edge for a long time. And that was definitely evident as I used this over and over and over again. I know some of the reviewers that reviewed this just trashed the knife, and that's their prerogative. But like I said, I don't think you're going to buy this knife saying, "Ooh, that thing is beautiful." No, you're going to buy it because you want to have this blade that is nice and thin. It's a decent cutter. It's comfortable in hand. It's got a unique locking mechanism on it. It's smooth. Like I said, and looks just aren't there, and that's perfectly okay. You got to decide that before you decide to buy it or not. Let's go over some specs real quick so you can get an idea of the size of this knife. You have a total length of 6.88 inches, so it's in that medium to small range in the size. You got a blade length of 2.95 inches, so it's going to be legal in a lot of areas that you're allowed to have a lock on your knife. And if you handed this to somebody, they would have trouble finding the lock if you didn't point it out to them. Your grip area, but without that forward choil, from here to here is 3.5 inches, and then with the choil all the way up to here is 4.5 inches. So it's going to fit your medium and your large, and maybe even your extra large hands. The thickness of the scales from here to here is 0.44 inches, and the close width from here to here is 1.20 inches. and the blade stock is very, very nice and thin at 0.049 inches. I don't think I own any knives that are that thin. And the thickness behind the edge is kind of hard to gauge this, because you got basically your primary bevel starts way down here, and being that this is such a thin blade, it's okay. You know, it's okay that you start way down here, because it would cost them a lot of money to grind this way up here and use a thicker piece of stock. So I understand why they did that. You got your primary bevel that's got, it has a semi polish on it. Then you have your secondary bevel right here. You can see the pretty much mirror polish. It came mirror polish, but like I said, I've used it a good bit. And that bevel right there on mine is about 13 thousandths. So it's not the world's best slicer I own. I have some reground blades that slice better than this, but it's a good enough slicer. Let's see, I got a piece of cardboard right here. Let's see if I can do this behind the camera. It's hard to do this behind camera. See, nice and smooth cuts. Very smooth cuts. And in a second, we'll check that edge, like I said, because I've used this quite a bit. And I used it on some dirty cardboard too the other day, so it probably had a little bit of sand and dirt in there. Maybe that's what caused that little chip. Who knows? Speaking of the edge, if you do happen to let this thing get dull and you let it get completely dull, you probably have to do a little bit more work than normal. But if you own a system with some diamond stones, you should be able to get that edge back, because that's what they're using to do that original edge, like that, diamond stones and probably some diamond paste, if I had to take a guess. That blade finish, it was, in my opinion, it seems like, you know, they were trying out something and it failed miserably, so they were like, let's just do that all over the blade in different areas, and we can call it good. It's not a pretty blade finish by any means, but hey, you're not going to add any extra scratches to that tungsten. No siree. You got the Sandrin logo right there. That's kind of ghosted if you look at it in certain lights. You do have a sharpening choil cut in right here. I'm glad they did that, because it would have been a beast to do it myself, I'm sure. This nub right here, I know that was talked about, but in the closed position, that's what's hitting in the closed position, that little nub right there. I'm pretty certain about that. The thumb studs on this, dual thumb studs, are decently comfortable. Close it up. They do sit a little bit proud of the scale, so you can put your thumb on top of it if you want to slow roll it, and you could flip it out, or you could probably, I can't do it behind the camera, but you could use that lock as well. It is riding on ceramic bearings with stainless hardware. I had to check it. It's just coated. It's coated to look like titanium, but there you go. There you go. And then, yep, it's pulling there and there. And then the back spring as well is stainless. That's been coated some way. I don't know what type of stainless, they don't really say. And your blade, of course, is magnetic. Now, being that all the hardware is coated, you got ceramic bearings, you have tungsten blade that's coated, you have a titanium backspacer. So this knife is completely rust proof. It will not rust on you unless you start scratching off this coating on the stainless parts. Then maybe those could probably rust on you, but the rest of the knife will not rust. The important parts, the blade, tungsten does not rust. And that's another big plus living in the South for me. They do have a good row of jimping up here, And in this position right here, my thumb fits on it perfectly, and it keeps me from sliding up on that blade. Now, whenever I'm choked up here, you don't have any jimping, but I didn't see the need for any jimping right there. They did attempt to round this spine, but I think more so they were just trying to break the edges up here. It's hard to show that. I think they might have said on the site that they crowned the spine. I'm not sure. Now I mean, you can see the lines and stuff. They call it that. Like I said, they just pretty much knocked the edge over and then probably rolled it on a ceramic belt or something. The lockup on this is good. You get a little bit of flex up and down, but I've seen this knife or this lock tested before, and it seems to be pretty darn strong. I have spine whacked it, not like crazy though, because I know I'm never going to use this knife in that type of manner. No side-to-side blade play at all, but you do have flex in the actual tungsten blade just because it's so thin. That's understandable as well. Not something I'm worried about. And close it back up. You have these, looks like Lego inspired G10, sculpted G10, and it has been somewhat contoured, as you can see. I will say it's comfortable in the hand. It might not be the prettiest thing. I don't think it's that bad. The red, I'm okay with that. It's kind of like those utility knife red. What is it? Milwaukee's utility knife. Somebody compared it to that. The clip works just fine. It is pretty hideous as well. Just to go along with the rest of the knife, you do have a pretty big pressure point underneath there, right there. But I do not feel that clip at all throughout use. I haven't felt it. It wasn't uncomfortable. Even in this choke up position, I didn't have any issues with the clip. Now the clip goes in and out of pocket nicely. It does have a good bit of spring because it's very long and it's thin right here. So the only thing I'd be worried about is if you caught it on something, it'd probably bend that straight up. Probably be a decently easy fix. If you ever did spring it up, all you do is unscrew it, turn the clip facing that way to where you screw it back down and this point is over here, and then just bend it down to whatever you need it to do. Your back spacer doubles as the lock. It's kind of hard to explain. You have a backspacer with this little thing comes down right here and loops this way to catch the blade, and they have a row of jimping right there. And then right about here, there's a spring, and this thing's on spring tension going that way. And what I like to do, I know I saw some people, because they showed this in their video, grabbing the front of that, where you're grabbing the tip of that right there to disengage that lock. You can do that, but it's not comfortable, of course. And obviously they got jimping up here for a reason. So what I do is after I'm done cutting, I put my thumb on the jimping right here and have my finger right here. So when this blade closes, it closes onto that choil. So all you have to do to disengage this lock is slide this bar in that direction. Let's see, I'm gonna show you. You slide it back, and then it allows you to disengage that blade, and you've got a nice little detent. Nice snappy detent. Very tight tolerances in there. You can't even hardly see anything in between there. And it looks like it's perfectly centered. It might be off to the right a little bit. It might be my angles on my camera. I don't know. Let's see how it rides in the pocket. I carried this a good bit the other day, and I totally forgot it was in the pocket because it's so lightweight. We'll put it on the scale right after this. It goes in the pocket nicely and pretty much disappears. You do have a pretty big old clip hanging out the pocket, but I'm fine with that. And those little holes mean something. I don't know. You'd have to go read on their site. And if you want to know more about their tungsten stay sharp technology or whatever, go check their site out. I'll try to leave a link down below. Let's check out the weight. This thing is a featherweight, because usually your blades adding the most thickness depending on what your handles are made of, but these are G10 with no internal liners in there. Let's see. Let me make sure. I didn't really look, but I can tell by weight. Okay, let's see. 2.32 ounces. So that will appease all the ounce and inchers out there. And let's get some size comparisons out of the way before I give you my nitpicks. My only other knife that can compete with 71 HRC blade for edge retention is my Spyderco Sage in Maximet. Now, the Maximet Sage isn't going to hold the edge quite as long as this one. I think these were, I don't know about this particular one, but a lot of them are in the 60 something, I don't know, 67 maybe. So not that far behind, but this one's definitely going to excel. Go check out my buddy Pete from Cedric Canada channel. He did a cut test with one of the Sandrin knives, and it's, I think, his longest standing cutter that he's tested. This is one that, in my opinion, kind of resembles it a little bit with the Ace Biblio. There you go. And two more common ones. You got the Ontario Rat Model 2, which is a little bit bigger, but you got much more handle feeling on this one, much more comfortable in my opinion, just because you don't have this deep little small choil. You got a little bit bigger, and it's not as deep as that one, and you got this forward finger choil. And then the Benchmade Mini Bug Out is a little bit shorter, so it's in between those two. And I'm sorry, my ADD self forgot to mention what this lock's called and talk about it. This lock is called, they're calling it their Recoil lock. And this design was first invented or developed by Esnick of Esnick's Knives, Esnick Tan. He's a genius when it comes to knife design, and he's the one that made the Mini Busker from Wii. And his was called the Power Lock. And whenever I first had looked at it before I knew what was going on in here, it kind of resembled the CJRB Recoil lock. They got the same name, but they're different, completely different. The Recoil lock's more like an Axis lock. This one is, I don't know if it's more like a shark lock or what it is, but cool lock in itself. I don't know. They said it's inspired by his Power Lock. So I don't know if they asked him to use it or what. You know, that's usually the etiquette in the knife community between knife makers. Just ask them if they mind if they use that certain thing that they might have invented. So overall, I like the knife. Of course, the blade's not the best looking. I'm okay with that. There's a few things that they could have knocked off some edges, and I would have liked to see them use titanium hardware. I know that would increase the price, but using this stud and all this stuff, if that coating comes off, I don't know what type of coating that is, but if it comes off, then you got to run the risk of something being able to rust whenever you might have bought this for the reason of it not rusting. Like I said, I'm not going to knock it on the looks because I didn't buy it for looks. And the only other thing, I did try to use this up front, even though it's made, it looks like, to put your thumb back here or to put your thumb right here and pull that lock back. But this front tip is a little sharp, not something that you ever feel if you're holding it back here after you cut something and do like that. Before I let y'all go, I'm going to test this edge because, like I said, I've used this quite a bit. I'm interested to see if it's still phone book sharp like it came. Wow, you didn't really even see the snag. I didn't really feel a snag. That was a slow cut. I like to do slow cuts and listen so you can hear how crisp that edge is. Because I mean, a lot of times you can have a little nick in the edge, but if you cut if you go whoop like that, you don't hear it or feel it. So I'm happy with that. I would recommend it if you're looking for just a cutting tool that is going to keep an edge for a long time. And if you do dull it out, they do have, you can send it in for them to sharpen, and they do have a US based, I don't know if it's just a wholesaler or what, where they bring these to a warehouse in the US. I don't know. But there you go. That is the Sandrin Knives Torino. If you have any questions, comments, concerns, please leave them down below. And I will see y'all on the next one. Peace.